What are you doing?
What am I doing? Oh, I am building a ramp to the pier because the land keeps eroding away, and so our step up onto the pier keeps increasing. So this time I'm building a ramp, and it's going to be floating in construction terms. Hopefully it won't float away in a flood, but floating in terms of it won't be attached. It'll be attached at one end, bolted at one end to the pier, and then the other end will stay unattached so that it can go up and down with the water. If the land changes, then it can go up and down with the land as well. So, a floating ramp. And so right now I'm using scrap wood that came up during the flood to create this ramp. And most of it's apparently from piers that were 6 foot wide. But the ramp, I only want it to be 3 foot wide. There's no reason for it to be 6. 3 foot wide is code for handicap access, anything, everything. So, this is treated lumber that's really aged, so it's lost all its treatment on the outside, but the inside is still treated, and you're not supposed to breathe that stuff in, I don't think, especially old school treated lumber. When you're putting decking on, especially real wood decking, you're supposed to put the bark side up so that rain, because it's cupped, because wood is cupped usually. This piece is cupped. It's cupped this way, where it's concave on this side and convex on this side. And so you're supposed to put the convex side up so it sheds water correctly. And it's supposed to be the bark side. It's tricky because this wood is wet. And when it's wet, it bows in certain ways depending on which side is drier and which side is wetter. So it can trick you about what's the natural cupping as opposed to the dry and wet cupping. Oh, here's how you tell bark side. That's the center of the tree, so this is bark side. Okay. Where the circles get bigger at the bark. So you look down the grain, look at the circles, the rings of the tree, by which you can tell its age, because each ring is a year. I'm trying to use the biggest pieces of wood, the longest ones, because some of these are a little bit less than 72 inches, 6 feet. And so if I cut them in half, they're going to be less than 3 feet. And I don't have much use for a board that's less than 3 feet.
So are there 2x8s and 2x6s mixed in?
Quarter. Yeah, exactly.
And they from that big storm they floated over?
Yeah, so some of them, were obviously from the storm where they wash up in the front of the property, like right along the shoreline. But then some of them are stuck like back in the marsh. There's a big wash of trash that came up, like grass clippings and everything that came up right in the middle of the marsh. And so some were in that pile, and then some were just scattered, like little bushes had grown up around them.
Pieces from someone's dock.
Yeah,
down that way. Yeah.
They're all pieces from somebody's dock. Somebody could come after them, but I think they're all different docks. And I think a lot of the boards are really old, so I think people would rather replace, if they're going to do work on a real dock that it needs to stand up to the elements, they're going to want brand new boards.
Are you intentionally making those longer than the others?
Yeah, they're gonna start long up here at the pier
And then taper in?
and then taper, yeah. Okay, you wanna do earth anchor or?
Yes, earth anchors. Where you want them to go?
This way, right here. Yeah, I'm gonna put an anchor here, and then an anchor down there, and then we're going to thread rope through this little plastic sidewalk so that it'll stay when it gets flooded. You got two types of earth anchors, the camping type and the dog chain type, where you put it in the ground and and you tie the dog leash to it, and then the dog can run around in a circle around the earth anchor. These things are mean. The tip of it is super pointy so that it'll chop through anything underground. You just twist it into the ground. It's bad here because the former residents of this house put filter fabric under this entire yard, and so I have to get through, but I think that really sharp end of this thing went right through the filter fabric already. So once you get partway down in the ground, it gets difficult, and so you can get a any type of just a log, some type of shaft. I'm going to use this old shovel, and you can put it through for leverage when you're spinning these things around. So weird way. Okay, now it's difficult to use that because we're close to the ground. I'm gonna go with this thing. Normally for a dog chain, you keep this way above ground. There's a little loop on it, like a cheat keychain loop that you can hook the dog chain to, like a couple inches down the shaft. But I want this to go all the way down. I want it to be under this plastic sidewalk. And so I dug a little divot, and I want it to go all the way into the ground. It might be difficult because it's gonna be harder to twist this as I get lower down, and then it's not gonna wanna twist. So yeah, maybe I'll have to dig this out more. I'm lucky that it's just sand. And then use this hammer. Nope, I broke it. Oops. Yeah, I think what was happening, I could feel it. That's done, that's done for that. I could feel what was happening. I think either it was hitting rocks and it wouldn't twist and I kept twisting it, or it was getting seized up in the filter fabric. The filter fabric was hugging onto it tighter and tighter, and I just kept twisting. Yeah, so this ring was trying to go through that filter fabric. I guess I should have dug the filter fabric out at first, and then it would have worked a lot better. So now we can try to use this camping one. We do it the same way, screw it down. This actually has some leverage on it since it has this crossbar, but I can feel it. I can feel the plastic trying to bend somewhat. Maybe back it out a little bit, wiggle it a little bit maybe. I don't want to break this one.
I think that's low enough.
Yeah, you think so? Okay. Like we're gonna put this over it. Yeah, probably so. Mm-hmm. Cool. I can put all this back. Yeah. Okay. And whatever I was hitting that was hard to get through, hopefully it'll help keep it down. The only reason I'm putting these in, this stuff will grow grass through it. This sidewalk, this plastic sidewalk will grow grass through it, which is awesome. That's what I want. I want a natural walkway that just doesn't get muddy when it rains, and that's exactly what this is. And so once it grows grass through it, and if it had grass growing all through it, it would be anchored by the grass. But we just had a flood, and it's only been a year, and the grass is really bad at growing right here. So it wasn't prepared for the flood. And so I'm hoping that this will just give it a little bit more staying power when it gets when it gets submerged in the water.